It's Krista here again today, and I'm here with my dog Daisy. Daisy, say hi! And I'm kind of excited because I'm doing a lot of different editing and doing fun things, so trying to keep it a little bit on an up here and like a little bit more of an exciting level, you know, although what I have been talking about is probably one of the darkest things. You know me, I talk a lot here about narcissism, codependency, and also about substance abuse and alcohol abuse, dysfunctional families and relating, and also ways and practices of healing and recovering. I usually say a little bit of something about my life because I'm still doing a lot of the researching and recovering myself as I go. So I don't know if it makes it any more interesting for anybody else to watch these, but I know that sometimes I get a nice comment, so that's always nice. My dog is licking my hand right now. She's one of the loves that really keeps me going. This is, you know, my teacup right here, and I have a lot of good things to say about animals, especially if you are in that, like, a place where you might have a mental illness or disorder, or maybe you have just like a physical illness that keeps you more isolated and down and away from people. Maybe if you're just getting out of like a huge funk in your life, maybe if you're just recovering from that alcohol and drugs, and you're just trying to stay in more of a sober place now. And the funny thing about that is that when I noticed myself, and I hear also others talk about it online, people that are more independent with their own ideas and ways of doing things, people that are more creative as to help other people and ways of their lifestyles and things, more leaders than followers, often have to take this on where, and also I think that we become the strongest when we start going through, like, we hit that core bottom in anything, be it a relationship, you know, crashing out from excessive addiction in anything. You know, when you lose your money, you lose your home from gambling, or that man took all your money, you know, whatever it is, all of a sudden when you start standing up to that dysfunctional family, be it even if they're just like milder to a more extreme, oftentimes in my videos I talk about ways of dealing with these families, especially, and I'm going to continue talking about it because sometimes we still have to deal with these families or people in the workplace, where we constantly have to stick up for ourselves and learn the right way to do it so they stop harming us as much. You know, it really lessens that degree where you're getting assaulted or insulted less and less, because in a further video you can start doing like a gray rock with them, where you know, when they start criticizing you, or just how you can really reach a point when you learn more about these dysfunctional families and narcissistic types, where you understand and can accept that they are the way they are. You can't change them and you can't fix them like so much of our codependency nature can do, as we were taught to be more submissive to their needs and to play along. And you know, when we don't really have to do that anymore, but we can, when they come at us, when we start standing up ourselves, when they start coming at us with attacks, you know, we can always, instead of reacting to them, put on more of like just a dead face ho-hum attitude, like where they bring, like when they start saying, what did you do yesterday? And you can just be like, oh, well, you know, I just did my hair and I did the laundry. You don't have to go on with problems that you were encountering like in a normal relationship, where you're going to have, in a normal healthy relationship, somebody validate and help you problem solve if you're having different areas of just in daily, you know, on a daily basis. And when you start conversating with somebody, the narcissist, well, they can play a trick on you. Like they can tell you like, oh, well, tell me all about it, and then you tell them all that you can, you know, you give it all to them, and then later they can use that against you in an argument or something. That's one of their tactics of manipulating and control over. And also, you know, through the time that you were telling them all this stuff, there really is no real sense of connection, and you will never get from them that they are going to validate you even through that conversation. And a lot of times they might start projecting you through that, being like, well, you're angry because you're just an angry person, and maybe you should try being nicer. And, you know, when they come at you with these insults, even when you're trying to talk to them, especially if you are making like a more of a getaway plan, or if you have to just deal with them on occasion, is probably the best way of using the gray rock, where you're just like ho-hum, you don't really give a reaction, you play kind of dead and boring. And if they want to know things, then just give them like basically things about, not about what's going on with you, but just things that you're doing, just boring things, you know. And just keep it kind of rampant and flip it, and you don't have to. That will further them from getting into any kind, sucking any kind of that energy out of you that's good or bad, that feeds them, that they feed off of. Okay, and they're always needing that source. And finally, the fun thing about that is that when you start doing that, they kind of get bored with you, and they're not getting that source, so they have to go find it somewhere else. I know that it's really hard because in a lot of cases, we are addicted to that abuser, or we're very lonely and we might feel very isolated. That's where things like, I love my puppies, because they can come in and fill that void and give me that love, and I can actually practice that love with my animals, because and you get that reciprocally from them, you know, if you don't mistreat them. I mean, if you can practice your kindness on them and compassion and forgiveness, because you have to remember that the narcissist is the one that is hurting you. It is not your animals or the people around that really do love and care about you and support you and look after you. And, you know, and can really listen and validate. It's a lot of times hard to find people like that, especially when we've known that kind of punishment and abuse all our lives, be it emotional neglect, or, you know, your partner's not really ever paying attention to you. Maybe you got ignored by your mother, or, you know, you never got that level of connection from anybody. Animals are always a great place to start. I've really become very close to my animals that I own now, as I have a place of my own again. And what I was saying, back to the gray rock, is that it's really not healthy to use the gray rock. Like if you're living with somebody and you don't plan on leaving that person, and you're not limiting that contact like you should, best of luck to you, because it will probably always be a very extreme, hurtful living situation, and you will probably never really, especially not with that narcissist that is on a more extreme level. Now, we all have a healthy form of narcissism in each of us, like a healthy level of it, where we do, have to put our needs before anybody else's. But for codependence, that can be a little less. But I'm just saying that there can be help for your love relationship, and with your family or whatever friend relationships, if you can maybe start therapy together. But I'm saying at the more extreme narcissist spectrum, there is almost it's like a 99% chance that I hear a lot about the statistical level about how long it's going to take, a person to really open up and change that. And what I was saying about the transitioning into the awakening period, where we stop denying it and we do start waking up to it. A lot of times it really has to get down to the very rock bottom nitty gritty, where you are having like a nervous breakdown, you can't take it anymore, like you can't stand anything anymore, and something needs to change, and you know that deep within yourself. And before we start even realizing that there is no way that we can fight it any longer and we need help. We're very strong individuals, and we're very resilient, but when it comes to cases of narcissism and abuse, there's really a lot of times you just have to move on from that. You might have to change your lifestyle. Maybe if your job has a lot of narcissists and they're greedy, you're not getting maybe the paycheck that you deserve, or you're getting treated like poop. Maybe you need to start thinking about a different job or a career change. Something that you might like to do more that gives you more freedom and energy, and maybe something more upbeat, where the people around are more upbeat. I know that even lately I've been joining different organizations that are more like that, and what I'm leaving behind and what I'm walking away from, like I did yesterday at a place, kind of the restaurant bar girl that I liked, I walked out of, and because they were just so more on that very dysfunctional spectrum, where I was made to sit down and yelled at before even sitting down for my ID, and just very rude behavior. And when I did stick up for myself, I was looked at like they were going to punish me, like what I was saying was bad. And it's just so disrespectful. But really, I have to look and practice at that. I cannot change any of that situation, but just maybe change the people around me. And I walked out and I went to somewhere else. And what was neat was that the next place that I went to was a very nice bar and grill. The ladies there were very friendly, and they had an artistic touch. And I'm a real big artist, and the bar that was there that I ate and drank on was completely a chalkboard. And that just uplifted my spirits right away, rather than sitting in this other place where I usually get ignored even by the people that go in there and stare at a blank wall ahead of me. So, that was a real big difference. And I really, kind of patted myself on the back after that, because not only did I sit there and kind of have fun and doodle, but I was not ignored. I was not you know, just on a dysfunctional level, you don't have to stay in situations or go to places where you are treated like that. Just so y'all know. So one step at a time out there, you know. And you do get to a place when you do start your recovery work where you can become more of a leader, and you can grow even beyond just the normal healthy level. You can grow. I mean, we become so strong, and what we've been through is so amazingly powerful. We can tell our story to others and become a great leader within ourselves for others to even just follow. Be a great role model for others. And I just wanted to give this out today. Thanks for listening. And remember, animals are your friends, and you can make new friends too. Peace and love.